So I'm Tom, software engineer at Dagger, and I wanted to share a quick update on the current Node Zenith integration, which I'm going to call Node module. So I didn't prepare any slide. I'm wanting more to share like a live coding so you can see how quick it is to get started with the Node SDK. I try to think about way to like share the progress. And I thought, okay, well, I can just put myself into like a guy, software engineer into a company, and I want to make a CI for a project. And we have that kind of use case at Dagger with the Node SDK. So what I'm going to do is build in live a CI for our Node SDK. First, I made a really quick module to simplify the task. I'm gonna explain after how to build a module with the Node SDK, but I have something already ready and I'm going to start. So we can just initialize a module using the Typescript SDK. So it's gonna take a good time. Gonna generate a bunch of files. So here we have just a simple like get starting template. Just to like easily get started, and we have a SDK generated directory which contains all what the user needs to build his own module. This directory is ignored by the Typescript with a git ignore, so it's not going to be pushed. So like you can like delete it or like anything. It's not really important. It's just like for the editor to be able to import Dagger and like give some quick comment. So I can explore like the function. Classic thing you can do with the new module integration. And it's going to execute with another runtime an introspection and show like all the function, which is like something supported by every SDK. And as a last example, I can just like call a function to see if it works well. So cool. Node module works for like the very simplistic classic example. And now we're going to build a CI, so we can erase that. Oh yeah, just first, I'm going to explain really quick how it works. So you can expose things to the Dagger API using decorators, which is like a very elegant way, in my opinion, to do it. I didn't take the choice to like say, hey, if you export the class, then it's gonna be public to the Dagger API. I preferred used decorator. I think it's more elegant and more like more obvious. And if you want to expose a function, you can use @func. And if you want to expose a field, there is a keyword name field right here, and you can just do that and say like, for instance, name string, and it's gonna be exposed to the Dagger API. But you can also keep it private, depends of your needs. So we're gonna get the Dagger Node SDK repository as a source. So I'm just going to create a function. Okay, we're gonna fetch from Git the Dagger repository, and we're gonna get the main branch, and we're going to take the tree, and the directory is located in subdirectory. So okay, so right here we got the source, and now I want to make a base image that a base containers I can reuse after to make a CI. So the idea is to have two function, a lint function and a build function, so I can retrieve the artifact, like the build artifact of the SDK. So let's create a base function. It's gonna return a container, and here I want to use the Node module I made before, so I can just install it. Install. And it's available publicly on a GitHub repository. It's not available on the Daggerverse for now. It will be on the latest version, but for now, For now, it's not. I need to fix a few things before. And we will see that in the generated client, we now have a class node that was not there before. And we can use it to like create really fast a node ready container. So I'm gonna put a version. I'm using the latest. I'm gonna add some source, so I can call like a function from the class. So it's this one. I'm going to use Yarn, and I'm going to install dependencies. Then I'm going to return the container. Just gonna make it a bit more beautiful, a bit prettier. Here, and here. So right now we have a base container containing our source and configure to use Yarn. So right now we can start to code our function. So I will expose a function named lint, gonna return a promise of string. Basically, we want to get the content of the lint. And now what we will do is we're gonna use node with container, gonna use a base image, and we can just call lint, and we do Dagger calls lint. Normally it should run the linter. While it's being executed, I'm just going to code the build function, so we don't like waste too much time. So build can, it's not asynchronous. So I can just like create it that way. I can return a directory, and then I can just like doing pretty much the same step. Oh, lint finished, and we have no errors. Yoo-hoo. The node SDK is well coded. And I can like do pretty much the same thing with the build step. And normally the build artifact should be in this directory, so I can do this. And then I can use the export command, which is going to take the directory, put it by the module, and put it into like the current host file system. But because it's not like I already have a big file system, I don't want to like add more files. I'm just going to put it into the result directory, and this way I should like retrieve into the result directory the build artifact. So we can see that in a few seconds. All right. Okay. We'll be there soon. Actually, it's not. Okay, good. So here we have the build source, and I could continue that way, making some tests, making other check. But the idea is just to show how fast it is to build a CI for any TypeScript project. I could have also choose a Go project, Rust. Like it's not language dependent. We could even like make the LX module present by Luke in Node. But I wanted to make it like to keep it fast and simple, just to show the progress. So basically, from 0.9.4, the Node module is available, and it will be way more stable after 0.9.5 because like I really passed like the last few weeks then I to make it ready. There are some like issues that will be fixed for the next release. There is a peer actually who fixed all those issues. So here we are. We have finally a non-module integration. Next steps, like first, like do anyone has a question? I didn't check and I didn't look the chat, so feel free to just speak on the audio. As I said, you can like keep some like function private if you don't expose them with the add func. So here we only have lint and build, but you don't have base or source, which is a convenient way to control as a developer, especially if you develop module, what you want to expose to the user or not. So if there is no question, thank you. So this means that a 0.9.4 user can now build Dagger module in Node.js. Yep, you can. What are current limitation of this SDK? So every issue I found, I fixed them. So right now I think it pretty much cover every normal use case you have. Something though I find out after using it, and I'm gonna show it right now, is that you cannot, at least for now, split function from a class like into multiple files, which is a limitation from the language. But as a workaround, you could just create like a subclass and return it into like this one, like the parent class, so you can extend it into other file. I say that is the only limitation I find, but it's more like a language limitation. Also, we do not support interface, but it's common to all SDK. It's going to come probably next year. We're working hard to support it. But anything you can do right now with the Node SDK, with the Go SDK or Python, it should be possible with TypeScript. And if it's not, just open an issue and I will be glad to fix it as fast as possible. That's the idea. I'm presenting it right now, so I can get like feedbacks the earliest possible and fix all the issue. But yeah, the idea is to have the same capabilities between all SDK. Is there any question before I explain how to create a module? I'm just checking the chat.
Hey Tom, did you in working with this SDK and building this out, do you have any advice for people who are starting with it as a kind of a mental model to think about synchronous versus asynchronous in relation to Dagger and this SDK?
So thanks to TypeScript, it's really straightforward because, for instance, lint should return a promise as the type inting. So for instance, here, if I expect to like return just a string, my ID is gonna say, hey, no, you have to wrap it into a promise. So what I would say is think about what you want to do and let the idea guide you through the constraint of the modules, but it should be pretty much the same as making a module in Go or Python, or even using Dagger in the older version when you were not using any module. That should be pretty much the same code. Like, for instance, if I'm using the previous Dagger version, I could just do like await connection, async, boom. And like imagine the base is also a function, for instance, and base equal like in the old Dagger way, you could have something like that. And basically all you have to do is take your old function and just put it into a module. So if you were already using the TypeScript SDK, it should be pretty easy. And if you're new to it, think about what you are doing in Go and Python, and that should be pretty much the same. And if you're new to Dagger, I recommend you to like check the Dagger documentation, the quick starts, so you can like easily get started. And in the next weeks, there will be some documentation written for the Node module. But there is so much to do that I didn't have time to work both documentation, example, and stuff. So I just try to make a demo as quick as possible. So this is the demo about creating your module for specialized use case, but you also may wonder how to create your module that you can publish for other people, which is what I use here to simplify the integration. So basically, it's pretty much the same. you're going to create a module, and instead of just like making commands that will interact over a defined code base, you want to make something as generic as possible, which is the same idea when you build something in Go or Python. So here's same principle. I have an object class. I have a class node with an object decorator, so it's exposed to the API. I have a field here which is public that contain a container. So we like the TypeScript SDK supports constructor, but I prefer to initialize it that way. Look way simpler than making a constructor for that. And then I can just make like a set of function, and all the documentation will be parsed and like available. And that's it. You can like create a module. It's the same thing than just applying to a special use case, but think about like, okay, if people want to use it, what do they need? Something cool I noticed also with the Node SDK is that it's looked faster to build a module. Previously, I was using the Go SDK because Node was not available. And honestly, if I have to compare, it's way faster to build something in TypeScript thanks to the language. You don't have to deal with the handling. You don't have to deal. There is promise, so you can throw error and that's it. But you have no context and no error special management. So you can make things going really fast with a less amount of line of code. So yeah, you feel basically you have more freedom with the TypeScript SDK. Another next step is to indeed make the Node SDK more stable. And to do this, I will need all the feedbacks I can. So if you want to give it a try, build your own module or like build a module for a specific use case. And if you meet any issue, feel free to message me on Discord. I will make sure I can fix that. The idea also is to build as much module as possible in Node, just to verify that it works well. And as I mentioned, I want to find an elegant way to split big class into multiple files. It's still in progress. As I said, you can have subclasses, but not sure it's the best way. And last thing, all you do in Node, any module you will publish or use in Node, you can import it into a Go module or Python module. For instance, this is what I do here. I have my Node module. I use it into the demo, but I also test it into a CI. And right here, I'm using a module made with the TypeScript SDK into a module that uses the Go SDK. And that's really cool because you can break the barrier between languages thanks to the all module logic. Right here, if we check the Dagger JSON, I use a TypeScript one. So imagine you have like a use case where like you have a TypeScript code base, you can make your module in TypeScript, but then imagine you have like a bigger code base with multiple projects. You can make a Go module that will where you will take advantage of concurrency to like run everything in concurrency, which is something really hard to do in Node, but you can still have your Node module for your project and use it from Go. So I found this like really amazing and really cool. It opened a lot of possibilities. The annotation-based functions seem like a departure from the other APIs, meaning not consistent from an API point of view. It's actually consistent with the Python SDK, which also require to use decorator. If this is what I mean, what you mean with annotation. Indeed, it's not possible in Go, but I find it way more elegant to use decorator. Does that answer your question? Yeah. Python and TypeScript are way more similar than Go. But you can accept the API, which is pretty much the same. But on the module perspective, TypeScript and Python use decorators, where Go has a special use the privacy and public logic to know if it has to expose something to the API or not. But the cool thing with annotation or decorators is that later I could had optional arguments here. Imagine you have a function, or like more precise, you have a field, and you want to rename it, but only on the API, like on the exposed API. You could have an argument, say, okay, and then they rename equal, I don't know, name with like ML, or like you say, okay, no name. Like using decorators allow you to add some special option related to a special part of your API, and I'm not sure it's possible to go except maybe with comments, but I feel it's way simpler with decorators. So yeah, I think that's it for me. Feel free to try the Node SDK, give me some feedbacks, and yeah. So right now the easiest way is to download the latest Dagger version, and in few days there will be some documentation on the docs.dagger.io about the TypeScript SDK. So for the most adventurous, you can try it right now and try to find out like how to use it, even if there is no documentation except this demo. And for the people who want to wait a bit, there will be some docs, so you can like onboard easier.